the project, Green Skills Platform for Sustainable Employment Development is implemented under the Interreg 5A Romania-Hungary program and is financed by the European Union through the European Regional Development Fund, Romania and Hungary.
Green management tools. Background of green marketing, responsibility, sustainable development is a growing trend, and green marketing is developing dynamically as a special field of marketing requiring special background knowledge. In corporate and other organizations, activities related to environmental and social responsibility, marketing plays a key role in successful implementation. In addition to delivering well-worded messages, cradle-to-cradle product development can also play a role in delivering real-world change. At the same time, professionals need additional knowledge to avoid promising but incomplete or even counterproductive communication tricks, that is, to avoid painting in the grain. The environmentally conscious mindset is playing an increasingly important role not only in the corporate sphere, but also in the field of marketing, as the awareness of a certain consumer-level environment is increasing. Marketing mix elements, 4P, can be interpreted from an environmental point of view, as product, price, point of sale, and finally, the environmental burden of promotion are important factors that are evident in green marketing or fair trade. The best known are eco-labels, distinctive product labels, energy-saving information labels, fair trade and environmental logos. It has evolved over the last 40 years in the Western world in response to the realization that the benefits of trade and its development are not shared equitably by all countries and populations. The essence of fair trade is that, regardless of the general world market price, the participants agree on a price that truly reflects the material and labor cost of the product. The fair trade parties shall in each case set a specific price taking into account the economic, social and even ecological conditions at the same time. To reduce inequalities, fair trade provides producers in developing countries with a higher return on their goods and better access to new markets. The purpose of fair trade is to contribute to creating conditions that will help to protect society and the environment in developing countries. Environmental labels and logos indicate the environmental friendliness of the product. The aim is to search for and label the least environmentally friendly products among the products available on the market within a given product group. The process involves testing the entire life cycle of the product: raw material extraction, production, use and disposal. All environmental elements like air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, noise load, raw material and energy requirements, pollutant content, waste. The purpose of environmental labels is helps the consumer to be informed so that he or she can consider ecological aspects and find environmentally friendly products when shopping. For them, the logo provides reliable information about the product's relationship to the environment. Significant to manufacturers and dealers. You can encourage the manufacturer to acquire the right to use the logo with their products. It also contributes to the achievement of environmental policy objectives by spreading products and technologies which are less harmless to the environment and have the positive impact on the state of the environment. Applying the logo is also an enlightenment and awareness tool. Their spread increases the environmental sensitivity of consumers. Consumers may be aware of the environmental impact, pollution and hazards of certain products, such as the use of recyclable paper, which is a significant saving on wood and energy. Meaning and definition of green marketing. Eco-marketing, or more commonly known as green marketing, is essentially a marketing method based on the principle of environmental awareness. The followers of green marketing practices use all the marketing tools that can be used to spread the scientific knowledge, to present market considerations and to unveil certain business constructions in order to raise awareness of the environment, protect the environment, and promote renewable energy sources. Marketers in the field are not necessarily grassroots, they are not in action, they are not necessarily identified with Greenpeace and the Greens movement, but they are succeeding in mediating the principles and practices of environmental awareness and green thinking. Green marketing or eco-marketing is an effort using general and specific marketing tools to transform the environmentally damaging function of civilization development into an intelligent, self-regulating structure capable of restoring, creating, and maintaining the self-sustaining nature of ecosystems. And the irreversible consequences of the growing use of raw materials and energy is the result of industrial development, including a threatening global ecological disaster. In a narrower sense, green marketing is an emphasis on environmental benefits in the appearance of companies, technologies, products, and services. This is highly appreciated by environmentally conscious consumers, thus increasing the competitiveness of a company or brand in the market or the acceptance of related projects in society. Environmentally conscious thinking. With the spread of eco-marketing, green approach and environmentally conscious thinking is gaining ground. By presenting positive content and exposing negative practices, presenting unfavorable trends and popularizing alternative solutions, environmentally conscious thinking is playing an increasingly important role not only in the corporate sphere, but also in the privacy of people. Its attitude of avoiding environmental pollution is spreading in the most vulnerable metropolitan environment. Why green marketing is worth your business? You represent value with it. You are helping the future generations survive. Your customers can identify with you better. Today, a good product is completely environmentally friendly. The importance of green marketing is growing day by day as global trends are moving towards a sustainable economy. However, its credibility is important. This is most important for consumers if they believe that your product is really environmentally friendly and that you are really doing everything for the earth. However, in many cases, green marketing is used as a covert marketing trick by some companies without even thinking about its consequences and damaging their credit. Global trends are moving in the green, sustainable direction, so more and more companies are pushing for environmental issues. Sometimes it is usually a small change in their activities, but it could become sympathetic to their customers. Green marketing tools: environmental protection, sustainability, strategic planning, building a green image, to paint green the business, green communication, CSR, corporate responsibility. Environmental reports. One of the basic requirements of corporate environmental management systems is the principle of information and information. In a nutshell, this means that management must have up-to-date information on the company's state of the environment, its impact on the environment, its influences, and keep those affected throughout its operations aware of the impact. Environmental reports were first published by companies. Already in the 90s, several European countries introduced legislation regulating the content and publication of environmental reports. Of the most commonly used management systems, ISO only considers reporting as an opportunity and a recommendation, but EMAS already mandates this element. Since the second half of the 2000s, the environmental report has been largely replaced by the sustainability report. However, reports based on sustainability analyses and assessments have been published with a more varied content than environmental reports, since the evaluation process itself is not documented by basic methods such as ISO or EMAS. It is difficult to sum up the expectations that can be set for any company. The sustainability of a mining company can be evaluated in a completely different way from that of an energy company. The comparability of different sectors has been attempted several times. The most successful and widely used procedure is the Global Reporting Initiative. In their formulas, in most cases, the effects are weighted according to the industry. In this case too, the first stage is the state where the company communicates green for PR or marketing purposes. It advertises the success of its environmental performance by leaflets, advertisements, and occasional events, obscuring problems and harmful effects. Second-tier companies are already preparing extensive reports which include a significant number of actions and actions taken to counteract their harmful effects. The first stage is the environmental reporting category, a category of successful reports supported by environmental management, usually compiled by market needs and professional recommendations. These documents contain accurate data and detailed analysis. Reports are periodic and are publicly available. Stage 4 includes companies that report on their sustainability performance instead of or in addition to environmental reports. However, at this level, as in the case of environmental reports, the reports are not fully prepared on the basis of professional market recommendation, but have content that is compiled around the company's various interests. Typically, the information and other needs of those affected are not taken into account. The rating scale has the highest 5th grade for sustainability reports. This is, of course, a broad concept and not all meanings can be included. Based on the most accepted professional opinions, this may include reports that examine and analyze the overall activities of the company, disclose all significant and non-significant data, and tailor the content of the report to information needs of stakeholders. Not only is responsibility and sustainable development an increasing trend, but it is now a key element of corporate strategy, an important part of its organizational culture. Its credible operation and implementation is accompanied by the dynamically developing green marketing trend, which is a special area of marketing requiring special background knowledge. In the activities of companies and other organizations related to environmental, economic, and social responsibility, marketing is of paramount importance for successful implementation and communication. Compilation of the environmental report. Let's look at some initiatives that aim to give a uniform structure to reports for different purposes. EU Eco-Management and Audit Scheme. It is a voluntary system that helps companies to develop environmental management system and environmental management. Publishing performance reports. Registered companies can use the EMAS logo and refer to their products as services and activities as green. EMAS incorporates and builds on the ISO standard. Global Reporting Initiative, GRI. The GRI contains guidelines for internationally applicable sustainability reporting, social, environmental, and economic reporting issued in June 2000. The GRI guidelines are primarily for experienced reporters and sustainability. They provide a framework for reporting supported by performance metrics. What is CSR? Companies have an impact on society through their activities. From the working conditions of employees to their daily operations to the quality of their products, they influence their environment in countless ways. Therefore, corporate social responsibility is now an important requirement in business. In addition to financial success, companies nowadays need to ensure that their development is both economically and environmentally responsible and sustainable, and that they operate in accordance with certain ethical standards. Originating from the America of the 70s, this concept is now commonplace in many companies around the world. Without them, the goals of CSR, like many other corporate endeavors, would not be achieved. Which corporate responsibility may include donating money, the essence of CSR is that a company invests money and energy in goals that you can do well, but not necessarily in a tangible way. This includes, for example, protecting the environment or employing people with disabilities who not only provide a useful workforce for companies, but can also lead to a full, independent life. Companies can also have disadvantaged social groups by involving their own colleagues and volunteering. Whether it is planting a tree, painting a nursery school, or organizing fun programs for sick children, the company will not only help those in need, but will also let your employees out of their daily routine, recharge, and get to know each other. It feels good to do good, and the common experience contributes to making the team more cohesive and, in the long run, improving the efficiency of everyday work. In addition, it is important for a company to make the knowledge and attitude that it owes its success to the public. By presenting their values and corporate culture widely, companies can set an example and effectively shape people's way of thinking. In fact, they can initiate a dialogue with societal actors on important topics that can benefit the whole country. CSR in brand building. When deciding between two products or services in a shop, for example, we consider several aspects. In addition to price and quality, a decision is usually influenced by what we know about the company or the brand. Branding ensures that images, text, patterns, abbreviations are used to distinguish products and to associate certain imaginations with them. If we have had good experience so far, we have heard good news about the company and we would rather choose their products again. CSR and social responsibility play a big role in this. Consumers have a greater appreciation for companies that take care that their production does not endanger the environment, be fair to their suppliers, and help even those in need. So CSR is good for everyone. Green controlling. Environmental accounting is a generic term that extends beyond financial and management accounting to national accounts. Large companies such as IBM, Xerox, AT&T have already recognized that excellent environmental performance is profitable and important for long-term competitiveness. This excellence is unattainable without the use of environmental accounting tools. One of the most important tasks of environmental accounting is to discover the environmental costs and their causes. Environmental effects of the traditional viewpoint. What is the reason why the traditional accounting approach and practice so far has a negative impact on the environment and does not adequately support the rational decision-making and the adaptation of the company? First of all, it is based on the neoclassical economic model. This, in turn, has the characteristic of treating certain natural resources as free goods and of unlimited availability. This assumption described the socio-economic reality at the time the theory was developed. However, in recent decades, it has become evident that not even air is available to us, let alone, for example, non-renewable natural resources such as fossil fuels, coal. Pricing does not solve the problem of taking into account natural commodities, as some commodities, such as air, are not priced at all. More precisely, the so-called free commodity price is zero, while others, such as fossil fuels, are influenced by short-term supply conditions. That is, that they do not take into account their actual long-term quantities available. Traditional event-based accounting does not work where there are neither fair market prices nor normal transactions. Part of the difficult legacy of accounting is the fact that only events or financial categories can be expressed. Effects are noticed. This selective blindness is considered by many to be one of the main causes of the environmental crisis. Environmental recovery, recycling, etc. cost often some years or decades after production, so they are easily overlooked in decision making. This situation is exacerbated by the short-term effects of traditional investment valuation techniques. The role of accounting professionals. What is the role of accounting professionals in shaping a company green? How can they help meet new challenges? Let's briefly review their responsibilities in this area. Identify and analyze environmental costs, for example, energy, waste, packaging, legal services, benefits, cheaper credit, tax relief, for example. Ranganathan and Ditz refer to a case study where, at the start of the survey, Amazon executives estimated operating costs at 3%, and after 6 months of testing, the measurements showed 22%. Obviously, the issue of the right solution to 3% of the cost needs to be looked at in a completely different way than the one that is many times over. All questions should preferably be expressed in monetary terms, as this is the only way to treat them seriously and to take them into account in the calculations that underpin their decisions. Related to environmental obligations, accounting for contingent liabilities, such as a guarantee, correctly determine the value of provisions, elimination of the environmental impacts of the management and information systems, for example, valuation of investments, incentives, benchmarking, incorporation of new, mainly qualitative factors into the information system. According to Birkin, one of the most important tasks of the environmental management is to build an information and management system that integrates economic and ecological aspects, benefits associated with environmental friendliness in product and manufacturing design and development, consideration of penalties in case of their harm, discussion and disclosure of relevant environmental issues in various prospectus and annual reports. These are increasingly influencing individual decisions of information users. Specific tasks. Let's see what specific problems related to environmental protection have to be faced and what are the possible solutions of management and accounting in certain areas. Energy. Close monitoring of energy use is a fundamental interest of every business. Profit targets, generally true for other resource use, are in line with environmental goals. Both aspects require the same conduct from the management of the business, more economical, efficient use. Both EMS and traditional costing work to make more efficient use of resources. The only difference between them is in measurement, the former in physical units, the latter in monetary units. But this small difference is enough to drive the business to a different goal, as a cost-effective solution does not necessarily coincide with energy savings. This is because market-based costs do not represent actual and total costs. Therefore, since minimizing energy costs is not the same as minimizing energy use, it is not enough for companies with environmental responsibilities to simply follow traditional incentives, but also to take into account the effects of using different types of energy. In the long run, perhaps it would be more fortunate and more socially effective not to condemn companies to conduct such private research, but to reflect social costs and damages in prices. Ecotaxes, or as English literature calls them, carbon taxes, seem to be a great fit for this. When assessing the impact of the use of the energy, it should also be borne in mind that mineral energy sources, such as coal, already consume a significant amount of energy during their excavation, not to mention their transport, further processing and transformation. A smaller proportion of businesses manage energy costs separately, but even some of them divide into activities. However, this rational product mix is essential for making decisions, as profitability cannot be correctly determined without a proper knowledge of cost. In many companies, energy is recognized as an overhead cost. Of course, in many cases, such as service-only companies, this cannot be objected to. Most of the information is provided by the energy source. As far as possible, the use of each type of energy should be accounted for in a separate account. The next step is to identify the main users. Energy consumption must also be recorded in natural units, because this way we can estimate the impact of changes in energy prices. It is only with this data that the exact reason for the change in the volume of use can be determined. Such reasons may include change of activity processes, other technology, switching to another energy resource, change in energy cost per product, unit efficiency, waste. In this area of farming, there are more or less overlaps between economic, financial and environmental aspects, so it is worthwhile the establishment of an appropriate incentive system. However, there is a serious conflict of interest in the fact that a large part of the waste is spent. By itself, the exhausted product, since corporate success, higher income, market share, is inextricably linked to the increase in production volume. This cannot be resolved in a traditional approach. In fact, even an eco-friendly business cannot cope with it. At most, it crushes the effects. I believe that this can only be eliminated in a radically different order, where farming is not a goal but a subordinate activity of satisfying human needs above all else. There are two aspects to waste, one of which would be enough to pay attention to. One is the economic wasting, which can have a serious impact on the company's profitability in the short term. The other is the ecological pollution, the direct impact of which on the business can only be felt in the long run. Of course, indirectly, through the pressure exerted by the stakeholders, this also has a great impact on the company. Perhaps it would be a good idea to somehow make the ecological effects direct to the company, or expanding economic calculations in such a way that they can address aspects that are still considered non-economic. The economic calculations, which at present are almost exclusive to the majority of companies, do not take into account non-economic aspects, including their content in their decisions. But one of the realizations of recent decades has been that the natural environment itself is a kind of production and thus economic factor. It is therefore necessary to extend our concept of economy. Reflecting changes in societal values, waste regulation is gaining ground in developed countries and at regional, for example EU and international levels. Continuous monitoring of regulatory changes is becoming increasingly important for companies as they can result in significant cost overheads and loss of revenue. The direction of change is obvious. Expanding the range of substances to be treated, the rules for use and disposal will be tightened, lower emission limits, tools to encourage recycling are spreading. By consistently applying the polluter pays principle, 3P, companies are encouraged and forced to recycle by law. These have a stimulating effect on the one hand to save energy, since less energy use means less pollution, and on the other hand to achieve a higher value per material ratio. In this way, the value of production can be increased without increasing the production in natural units and thus without increasing the recall costs. These rules also help to increase the weight of added value in other respects. Organize while minimizing waste is important to your business because reduce costs, waste management and disposal, raw material, energy and water, insurance, reduce long-term environmental liabilities, reduces the chances of accidents, improve the image of the company in the eyes of employees, shareholders and the general public, increase revenue through reusable waste. How to choose electric car? What can we do if we don't have the money for an electric car of millions, but we want to be eco-friendly? The simple answer is to use public transport, but it's not always that simple. This is when we have the opportunity to use community driving. This means that a company in the city centers offers electric cars for rent, because electric cars do not worsen the air quality even more in the city. These are easy to use with an application and we pay for them on a minute basis. With this mode of transport, because of the high urbanization speed, we can reduce this problem by allowing more people to use one car. By doing so, we can reduce our ecological footprint, which can be a huge change in air quality. According to experts, It is worth choosing an electric car for a company fleet because the return on investment is the impact of state aid for the purchase of electric cars is already being felt on the financing side, despite the fact that the current supply of pure electric cars is primarily designed for urban use. There is a corporate and entrepreneurial base in Hungary where the purely electric car is an ideal choice because one of the nature of the job and the driving habits. It pays off in short term. Low operating costs, especially with regard to consumption and other benefits, are making the construction of an electric vehicle fleet increasingly popular. The cost of maintaining pure electric cars is, on average, 40% lower than that of a conventional internal combustion engine, as these cars require only the replacement of filters and brake fluid during the warranty period. Taking into account the difference in fuel costs, you can save up to 60%. According to our current technological knowledge, the future lies in electric vehicles, but their proliferation needs to extend beyond the range criticized by many. It is also important to have a proper service background, as such a car requires completely different interventions and of course more charging stations are required. However, progress in this area is clearly visible and technology is becoming more mature, so the choice is constantly improving. Fleet management. The fact that companies that have been specifically renting out electric cars can make life easier for companies. Here you can choose between long and short-term rentals. It is obviously financially more advantageous for the long term, but in any case the car service is carried out by the service company. For the reasons mentioned above, this gives some relief. There is one more important aspect with electric cars, and there are also some tax exemptions. This is the car tax, company car tax and registration tax.
The project Green Skills Platform for Sustainable Employment Development is implemented under the Interreg 5A Romania-Hungary program and is financed by the European Union through the European Regional Development Fund, Romania and Hungary.